Hello and welcome to the Economy This Week series of Drishti IAS. I am Ritu and today's session is about important economic events which had happened in the last week. Due to unforeseen circumstances, we could not meet last week. So in this session, we are going to cover a few important news of the last week and this week also. So moving towards the points of discussion part. First of all, we are going to discuss unemployment halves, and here we have taken the case study of Haryana. Then we are going to discuss about a scheme, Ayushman Bharat scheme. This was so much into the discussion. A new addition happened to this scheme. Then we are going to discuss about vertical fiscal imbalance. As you already know that 15th Finance Commission has submitted its report and they had suggested few things for the center and the state expenditure. Then we are going to discuss about raising retirement age, and here we are going to take a case study of China, and here we are going to analyze that is this case study is applicable to India or not. Then we are going to discuss about the windfall tax, and after that we are going to discuss about EAC PM report. So these are the news which we are going to discuss in today's session. Coming to the first news is about unemployment halves, and this is the news. While unemployment halves in Haryana, its youth seeks job abroad. So here we have taken data from PLFS periodic labor force survey, which is released by Ministry of Statistics and Program, and that data shows that unemployment rate in Haryana has been halved. And how we can analyze this thing, because this PLFS report says that in the pandemic period, it was more than the national average. But if we'll take account of now, so it has been halved. So this is the data that it shows that the unemployment rate among those above 15 years of the age. So here we have taken data of 15 years of the above age. And what it shows that it has more than halved. So earlier it was 8.8%, but it has been halved 4.1%. And it has seen a sharp contrast from the COVID period. And what is the sharp contrast? So the national rate was 4.1%. And in the COVID period, what we have seen that it was 9%. So it was double than the national average. But right now it is 4.1%. So it has become relatively better and it is half. Now here comes the question that how Haryana has improved such kind of the unemployment rate and how it can be halved. So the first thing is that Haryana government has introduced few schemes and other investment in the state led to this kind of the result. So around 30,000 regular government jobs including group C and D has been given to the youths, and also letters of 7,500 trained graduate teachers has been given. Then we have this Mission 60,000, and under this mission government has announced Mission 60,000 for youth employment for below poverty lines families by engaging them in Van Mitras, E-Seva Mitras and Kisan Mitras. And with the help of Mission 60,000, we are going to impart training to 10,000 youth to become a contractor. So this is also one of the thing. And the second thing is the proposed manufacturing and plants of Maruti Suzuki has decided that they will give 15,000 direct jobs to the youths of Haryana. So these are the regions that which had made that youth got the job, and we can see that unemployment rate have been halved. However, there is a twist into this thing that despite this half unemployment, why Haryana youths are moving to the foreign countries, why they are migrating to the mainly Canada, Australia. The reason is that these unemployment rate and these jobs which has been provided by the government is not enough, and it is not fulfilling the needs of the youths of Haryana. The second thing is that people, especially the youths of Haryana, are more attracted towards the rosy lifestyle of the abroad and through the social media. So the districts which are aligned to Punjab, we have seen that there is a more tendency to go abroad into those districts. So this can be also one of the reasons that despite of having a government job and despite of having the opportunities of government job, the youths of Haryana is going abroad and moving abroad. So this is the thing. Now we'll come to the second topic, which is Ayushman Bharat scheme. So this is the news. Rupees 5 lakh health insurance under Ayushman Bharat for senior citizen above 70 years who is eligible, benefits and how to apply. So this is news which we are going to cover up. So as you already know that Ayushman Bharat is a health scheme and it is available to the person who are belonging to the marginalized section of the society, who are economically marginalized, and it is basically for the lowest 40% of the population. Now they have done an addition. And what is the addition? So addition is that those population who are of the 70 years of the age, 70 years or more than 70 years of the age, they will additionally get 5 lakhs rupees. So earlier each household gets 5 lakh rupees and in that elderly population is also included. But right now the person who are belonging to more than 70 years of the age, they will get additional 5 lakh rupees. And here there is no income barrier. So earlier we used to have this facility for the below poverty population, but right now this thing is available to every strata. So the person who are belonging to more than 70 years of the age, they can avail this benefit, and this is additional to Ayushman Bharat scheme. So this is the new addition. And as you already know that Ayushman Bharat is a very successful scheme in this country, and it is world's largest publicly funded health insurance, and it has covered around 7.37 crore hospital admissions, including 49% beneficiaries were women, and at a cost of over 1 lakh crore. So this is about that how this scheme is successful, and right now a new addition also happened to this scheme. So this is about Ayushman Bharat. So as I have already told you that there are few significant changes and few new twists to this thing. The twist is that the person who are the government employees, central government employees, and who are already getting health benefits under the CGHS, ECHS, Central Government Health Scheme, ex-serviceman, contributory health scheme, so and also Ayushman Central Armed Police Force. So those people who are already covered under such schemes, so they have this option that whether they will continue their existing scheme or they can also apply for the new one, which is the Ayushman Bharat. So this is also one of the thing. Now here comes the question that will this scheme minimize the disease burden of this country? So first we need to look out that what is the life expectancy of India. So life expectancy of India is around 70, and this particular scheme is for the population which is above 70. So most of the people who are affected with the disease is below the 70. So we cannot be surely say that it will decrease the disease burden, but definitely it will decrease the disease burden who are above 70 years of age. And here we have a data from longitudinal aging study in India, and according to this data, India's population over the age of 60 years is estimated to increase from 8.6% in 2011 to 19.5% by 2050. So in 40 years it will almost double. So this is also one of the thing. And in terms of absolute number, this is the percentage wise. In terms of absolute number, if you'll see that by 2050 how it will come, so it will be tripled down. So it will from 103 million to it will become 319 million. In such a case, it will be very difficult for the country to decrease the disease burden because our population is significantly rising. So this is a question mark. We'll see in the future that whether this particular scheme is decreasing the disease burden of this country or not. Now we'll come to the next one. Next one is about the vertical fiscal imbalance. And this is the news. What is vertical fiscal imbalance? So as you already know that 15th Finance Commission has submitted its report, and there is a talk that 16th Finance Commission will be formulated and reconstituted. Now this is a task in front of 16th Finance Commission, that how to manage the vertical imbalance. And what is the vertical imbalance? So what we have seen that expenditure is more than the revenue receipts, and this is a problematic in case of the Indian states. As you already know that India is a federal country, and here the center provides money to the states, and state also incur their own money and they create their own money, but for many amount the center provides. So what is happening that center is providing more but states are producing less. So that has created vertical fiscal imbalance. And this is a challenge in front of the 16th Finance Commission, that we need to manage this thing and we need to manage this gap. And if we'll talk about the gap, so states incur 61% of the revenue expenditure but collect only 38% of the revenue receipts. So there is a significant gap between revenue expenditure and revenue receipts, and that has created this vertical fiscal imbalance. So this is the task in front of the states, that how to minimize this gap and how to create their own money. So this is a very problematic stance in India, and it is coming as a burden on the center. So we need to have more efficient utilization of money and efficient distribution of money to the states. So now we'll come to the next one, which is about raising retirement age. Why is China raising retirement ages for its labor force? So as you already know that in China there is a party which is in rule, National People's Congress, and they had decided that they will increase the retirement age. And why they will increase the retirement age? Because this is one of the resolution in their manifesto. So they are trying to fulfill their resolution. And the second thing is that in whole world, China has the lowest retiring age. And for factory women, I think it is 45 or 50. It is between that. And for the normal population, for it is 60. For women, it is 50. So it is lowest in the whole world. If we'll talk about the India, it is generally 60 to 62, or in some cases, just like academic cases, it is 65. So they had decided that they will increase their retirement age. And what are the reasons that they had decided so? The first thing is that they are the lowest among in the world. Their retirement age is lowest among in the world. So there is need to increase that thing. And here are few reasons. The first reason is declining pension budget. So as you already know that if you want to give money to your elderly population, your working population has to make money for them. And what is happening that there is a mismatch in China, and that's why there is a declining in the budget scheme and what you can say the budget expenses. And if they will do like that, by 2030 or 40 they will be out of the budget. So in that scenario, it's very important for them to create more budget money, create more what you can say budget for their retirement. And the second thing is that increased burden on the employed. As I have already mentioned you, that the workforce who are working, it's their responsibility to make money for the elderly population and for the retired population. So there was a constant pressure on them. So in order to increase pressure from them, this decision has been taken. The third is that increasing life expectancy and aging population. So this decision has been taken after 40 years. And when China has taken this decision, earlier the China life expectancy was around 60 years. But right now it has become around 68 to 70 years. So life expectancy has been also improved. And in this situation, it has become important for them that they should not become burden on the nation. They should become an asset and they should also work. Now here comes the debate that should India also increase its pension age or retirement age. So as you already know that India has a better pension retirement age, and generally population above 60 are getting the pension. So the first thing is that we have a better retirement age. The second thing is that our life expectancy is not 70 years. So in this case, it is not much possible for this country to increase the retirement age. So that's why for now, it is not possible for this country to increase the retirement age. In near future, maybe our life expectancy would increase. We are able to increase this thing. But right now, this is the stance of India that they are not increasing their age, and there are certain debates around that India should also increase their life expectancy. But India is a country where most of its population are engaged in manual work. And if their what you can say retirement age will increase, it's difficult for them to do manual work after the age of 60. So that's also a problem for this country. So that's why this is a very problematic nuance in terms of the India. Now we'll come to the next one, which is about the windfall taxes. Government scraps windfall tax on domestically produced crude oil. So this is news of this Tuesday, and in this the government of India has decided that they will scrap the windfall tax on all domestically produced crude oil, and this was imposed as a special additional excise duty and was reduced from rupees 1850 to nil. So right now it has become zero. So the government of India has scrapped all taxes on the crude oil, domestic crude oil. So here we should know that when it was first imposed. So it was first imposed on July 1st, 2022. And what is windfall tax here? So windfall tax is that suppose that any industry is growing due to some geopolitical reason and they are excessively growing. So the government decided to put windfall tax on them, and generally such kind of taxes are imposed on oil and gas industries. So in this case also India has decided in 2022 that they will impose such kind of taxes on oil, and that's why we can see that windfall taxes was imposed, but it was decreased, and it was right now it has become nil because of the geopolitical tension and because of the lowering prices of the Brent crude oil. And because of that we can see the impact on India, that India has decided to scrap its windfall tax. So this is the news, and this is the basic fact about your prelims examination, that what is windfall tax, and generally it is imposed on oil and gases, but it is not necessarily or mandatorily that it should be imposed on oil and gases. It's up to the government of that country that whether they are choosing which kind of industry to impose such kind of the taxes. So now we'll come to the last one, which is about the EAC PM report. Steady growth in West-South states, decline in Bengal, EAC PM report. So first of all, we should know about that what is EAC PM. So it is a non-constitutional, non-statutory independent body which has been constituted to give advices to the government on the economic and related issues, and it also gives advices to the Prime Minister, and it advises Prime Minister on economic issues like inflation, microfinance, industrial output, and it also makes suggestion in terms of administrative, logistics, plannings and budgeting purpose for the Niti Aayog. So this has been the primary purpose of the EAC PM. Now here we'll come to that what is the role of EAC PM and why it came to the news. So recently the EAC PM team is designing a paper and writing a paper or preparing a paper in which they had highlighted and they had released certain findings about the Indian states and their GDP and their developmental procedure. So it's very important for us to know that which states are performing in which manner and which is contributing more to the economy. So according to this finding, western state and southern state performed notably better and from the rest of the country, and here they have taken account of 1961 to 2023 to 2024, and largely they had done the comparative studies. So what they have seen that western and southern state had done comparatively better, and Maharashtra and Gujarat consistently showing strong economic performance, while West Bengal recorded continuous decline. So West Bengal is a state which has recorded continuous decline, and relative per capita income remained the highest in Delhi, Telangana, Karnataka and Haryana, and lowest in Bihar, and Odisha is perceived as a backward state. But what we have seen that in these years Odisha has performed better, and its relative per capita income rising from 55.8% to 88.5%. So in last 20 years Odisha has improved better, and it has become 55.8% to 88.5%. So this is the thing about Odisha, but Bihar was lowest and West Bengal is consistently decreasing its what you can say per capita thing. Now here comes the case of Punjab and Haryana, and why it is important to discuss the case of Punjab and Haryana, because Punjab and Haryana is a state which has been positively impacted from the Green Revolution, and during the Green Revolution period the state had contributed a lot to the GDP. So it's very important to have an idea that where these states are standing now. So if we'll take the case study of Punjab and Haryana, Punjab did not keep pace with the national average, but Haryana had done. Punjab per capita income was 106.7% from the national average in 2023 and 4. But if we'll take data of 1960 and 61, it was 119.6%. So the Punjab per capita income has decreased. If we'll talk about the Haryana, so Haryana has kept its pace and it has increased from 16.9% to 176.8%. So you can see that what is the difference between Punjab and Haryana. So Punjab is 106.7 and Haryana is 176.8%. So you can see that both states had witnessed the green revolution, but Punjab is not keeping its pace, but Haryana has kept its pace and it is positively increasing. Now we'll come to the practice question. So here we have taken practice question from each topic. Under the National Pension Scheme, Tier 1 accounts are withdrawable at any time by the subscriber, non-withdrawable until retirement, available only for government employees linked with the Atal Pension Yojana. Then you have the next question. Under the expanded Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, senior citizen age 70 years and above will receive an additional shared top-up cover of rupees 5 lakh per year, can only avail benefits if they are below a certain income threshold, are eligible for private health insurance alongside AB PMJY, are excluded if they are covered under the employees state insurance scheme. Then we'll come to the third question. Which of the following could be a likely consequence of increasing the tax devolution share to 49% for the states? States would have more untied resources to spend on the citizens. The central government would have a greater say in the state expenditure. States' borrowing limits would be decreased. The overall efficiency of state expenditure would decline. Now we'll have a next one. Next one is about which of the following is not a key indicator derived from the periodic labor force survey? Worker population ratio, labor force participation rate, consumer price index, unemployment rate. Then we have next one. What are the some of the key issues the EAC PM advises the Prime Minister on? Inflation, microfinance, industrial output, national security. 1, 2 and 3, 2 and 4 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So you have to answer this. Then we'll have the last one. Which of the following is a primary objective of imposing windfall tax? To promote private sector investment, to generate additional revenue for government during periods of excessive profits, to regulate market monopolies, to increase competition among the companies. So you have to also answer this. And I want to tell you that these all topics are important for your prelims as well as mains. Suppose that we had discussed around the retirement age question, that should India increase its retirement age or not, and how we can make elderly population as an asset to this country, not burden to this country. What is the pension scheme of this country? Recently, national pension scheme was also in news. So you can incorporate all these points in a single essay or in a single, what you can say, answer. So this is very important that you have to practice each question from your mains perspective. You have to practice this Ayushman Bharat scheme, that our life expectancy is not more than 70 years. And suppose that if we are launching a scheme for people belonging to the more than 70 years of the age, what is the benefit of such kind of the scheme? Will it be beneficial for this country or not? So there are so many debates around these things. So you have to make your answer accordingly. Now we have an important announcement by Drishti IAS. As you already know that Drishti IAS has come up with the GS Foundation course, and its branches are located in many parts of this country. So here are the details of those things. So we have first batch in the Indore 24th September 8 am, Prayagraj 3rd October 2024 11:30 am, Jaipur 7th October 2024 5:30 pm, Lucknow 16th October 2024 8 am, Karol Bagh 17th October 2024 8 am. And this is the prelims plus mains, and this is in the English medium. If you want to call or if you want to know more about this thing, you can call on to this number 8010440440. I will repeat, 8010440440. And if you want to know more about, you can visit to the offline centers. That's it about the today's session. I hope you like this session. If you have queries related to this session, kindly ask in the comment section. Thank you and have a nice day.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.